Good afternoon. I am Deputy CCM SCR. So today's, I think I'm audible. I'm audible to everybody.
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay, thank you. So today's topic is about the flight incentives on Indian Railways. So last class also we have covered about the flight incentives, and I'm going to share the few of the flight incentive schemes here. They are left over what the Railway Board has issued various schemes to attract the flight customers. So I'm going to share that remaining aspect also. So I'm just going to have we'll have a brief look back about what we have discussed, so that you can all remember and we can recall what we have discussed, so that we can go ahead and have an idea about the flight incentives on Indian Railways. So I'm just going to share the screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yeah, thank you. So in the previous class, I've explained the importance of 1 minute. Okay, about the various policies what Indian Railways have introduced recently to develop the freight aspect. I have already explained to you that the freight basket of Indian Railways during 1940s, 50s, 60s was about 60-70% of the total transportation which was happening in India was carried by the Indian Railways. So the major transporter was the Indian Railways only. So we had the major chunk of the share of the movement of logistics. But later on, this freight share has come down to now the present freight share. It's about 27%, 25 to 27% only. So now we're all worried that the rail share is dropping drastically. So we need to do something to survive the huge competition that has been opened up due to development of roads, airways, and shipping. So the lot of infrastructure has taken place in the aspect of roadways. You can find lot of national highways and beautiful skyways, beautiful roads have been laid connecting the various parts of the country and especially the highways. So this has given a spurt to transportation by road. So the road sector has picked up tremendously because of the huge, nice, beautiful connectivity being provided from one city to another city, and also the now introduction of GST policy has been introduced. Road checks, checkpoints have come down drastically. So seamlessly, now the traffic is moving by road very easily. All the customers are now preferring to go by road because it is now, one is door-to-door delivery. Other thing is the connectivity is very good. And third thing is even 40 tonners now moving by road. So all these advantages are there. So railway is finding itself in a tight corner now. So in order to survive this, we have to be very, very innovative and take a lot of new measures to survive this competition. As you're all aware that our main bread and butter is freight, not the passenger. So out of 1 rupee what we earn, we are getting almost 67 to 70 paisa through freight, only 20-30 paisa through coaching and other earnings, sundry earnings. So passenger traffic is very less. So we are cross subsidizing whatever the earning we are getting freight to the passengers, the passenger aspect. So we have to survive this business of transportation. Unless we survive, the survival of railway itself is at stake. Now we can find a lot of letters in the papers, letters in the magazines that railways survival now is becoming very, very difficult in the coming years. So in order to attract more freight customers, in order to attract more freight, Railway Board has introduced slew of measures that has taken a number of policy initiatives to develop this business. So as part of the policies, recently, as I told you last time, business development units have been set up at board level, zonal level, and division level. So these BDUs, what we call BDUs, business development units, have been formed. Now these units are really a boon to the railway administration and the customers also, because at the division level, now the senior DOM, and the team of inspectors of engineering, mechanical, and commercial, now they are fanning out to the various parts of their jurisdiction, and they have already now having a good customer relationship and try to understand their difficulties, and they are highlighting the issue to zonal level. Zonal level, CFTM and CCM FM are the zonal secretaries now, and followed by other officers also of other departments also. So other departments also are involved, and now we are finding it very easy to formulate policies as per the market conditions. Earlier, market condition is to be something different, and the policy is something different. So as a result, what was happening is the policy, even though policy is announced, but ultimately it was not beneficial to the customer and to the railways also, because the route level, whatever it is, difficulties are there, were not addressed. So now what actually does the customer require, that has been addressed now due to the BDUs. Now another committee is being formed. Now we call CEOs. Now AOMs and ACMs, commercial and operating officers, have been nominated as CEOs. They have been given jurisdictions, and they are directly interacting with the customers, the vice president, the top people of the customers, the ports, or the cement, the food grains, and all. They interact with the customers, and they have been given powers, and they are now designated as CEOs. So this is already, which I explained to you. This CEO concept is recently now has been taken up. Now this also is giving good results to us. As I told you last time, what are the freight incentive schemes? I told you there are 3 types of freight incentive schemes. That is traditional empty flow direction, loading of bag consignment open and flat wagons, and freight forward schemes. I explained to you briefly, hope you remember. If you don't remember, I'm just going to give a brief about these 3 incentive schemes which are available on the Indian Railways. Apart from this, there was incremental also intent before actually, but the incremental incentive scheme is not now, it's not available. It has been discontinued. Now these 3 incentive schemes are now available. That is traditional empty flow direction, loading of bag consignment open flat wagons, and freight forward schemes. So these 3 are very important, and these schemes have really helped in bagging the road traffic to rail. So TEFD, that is called traditional empty flow direction. So in that, we are giving a concession of 20% and 15%. So what is traditional empty flow? The terminology you can understand, empty flow direction. So normally in a cement industry or the port industry or whatever, where there is huge volumes of traffic, if they are going by road, the road contractor will ensure that he takes loaded consignment, and also gets back loaded consignment from the destination back to the originating station. So that is how it is profitable to him to carry out this lorry business of transporting. So but where in railways, now we send a loaded consignment, loaded train load, but normally the rake is coming back empty. Suppose cement is loaded or clinker is loaded from a cement factory to a port. So the cement or the clinker is being exported through port. It is dumped in the port, but the rake is coming back empty direction. So this is causing a lot of discomfort in the operating ratio. This operating ratio is increasing because it is coming empty. So anyhow, the rake is coming back empty, and we are not able to capture any commodity. So this policy has been launched to ensure that while coming back, the rakes coming back after the destination, proper destination, after coming back from the unloading, then some kind of concession, if given, then the customers will like to come by rail. So this is how the concept has really clicked, and customers are happy. Now automatically this traditional flow empty direction is called TEFD. The system itself takes care. So the basic idea of this TEFD is to reduce the empty flow ratio and to increase the operating ratio. This kind of scheme is introduced, wherein after unloading the consignment at either the port or at the destination station, instead of the rakes coming back empty, if a customer is willing to load some consignment, his consignment in the empty direction, then a concession of 20% and 15% is given for this rakes, on these rakes which are coming in the empty direction. So that is the basic concept of it. So this that is automatically taken care by the FOI system, by the TMS system. So only thing is the CGSR should feed the direction from where to where the rake is moving. Automatically the system identifies the empty flow direction and it gives concession automatically. So the customer will get concession across the RR. It need not again apply to the finance department or the commercial department for the granting the concession. So this is what the basic I have explained to you last time, and what are the empty flows available. There's, I told you that a lot of annexures are there in which direction the rakes, if the rakes move from south to north or east to west or north to south, if the rakes moves and what from which zone to which zone, from which division to which division, if they move, then what is the concession is going to give. That is all available in the marketing freight marketing circular called traditional empty flow direction, and that is available. You can go through this. That is available in the Indian Railways website. That is about the traditional empty flow direction. Hope you understood that the idea of giving concession to this is to prevent the rakes running in the empty direction with empty. If the rakes are coming back after unloading, in order to utilize these rakes, some concession is given, that is 20-15%, and the customers are very happy because while coming back, they are loading the consignment and they're getting this concession. Next is loading of bagged consignment in open and flat wagons. So this is also one of the good incentive scheme. So this is basically very useful because this bagged consignment, mostly it is being moved in the box and BCN wagons we call jumbo rakes. So it is being moved in those rakes, and these rakes are in shortage. So whenever there is huge demand, when there is peak traffic, where railway is not able to supply rakes, and we are losing the traffic to road. So in order to not to lose the traffic, so a concession of 30% and 40%, 30% for cement and fly ash 40% respectively is given to these commodities and other commodities also, which I have shown you last time. So this consignment, whenever bagged consignment means I told you it can be fertilizers, it can be food grains, it can be cement. So whatever is in the bag, if it is loaded to open and the customer takes risk, because open there is a possibility of the consignment getting damaged or the consignment getting wet or likely to theft. So all these difficulties are there for bagged consignment to be loaded in the open wagons. So normally customer does not prefer, but this concession, when this concession was offered, especially the cement industries, they have taken advantage of this, and they're loading this consignment in the open wagons, covering them carefully with tarpaulins, and no damage is taking place, and they're able to reach the destination safely. We are hardly getting any we are hardly getting any claims on this. So this has been a good response for this scheme. So the customers are utilizing this whenever the shortage of consignments of the rakes or covered wagons, they are loading the open wagons and they are availing this concession. Cement 30%, fly ash 40%. This freight forward scheme also explained. Private freight forward scheme, even though it is not available on South Central Railway, maybe available in few other railways, but basically this policy is to aggregate the different commodities and move by rail. So normally a cement company will like to move only cement in a rake, or the iron ore will move in a rake, or coal will move in a rake, some other commodities. So in this case, I have told you what are the restricted commodities, what are the commodities which can be loaded, and what are the various benefits that the customer is going to get in the freight forward scheme. They're going to get a lower class when they load different commodities together. If they load in a wagon 2 or 3 consignments, they're going to get some concession. So this is about the freight forward schemes. Hope I'm clear. Traditional for empty flow direction, loading of bagged consignment to open and flat wagons, freight forward schemes. So these are the 3 schemes which are available right now under the freight incentive schemes. This is about the traditional empty flow direction. So already I've explained to you. Again, explanation will not help because I have to cover other subjects also. This is the freight incentive scheme for loading consignment in open wagons. I told you, no, for loading cement to China clay, all types of chemical manures, food grains and all, they're getting 20% concession. Fly ash and urea, 30%. Now fly ash is 40% is there. Urea is 30%. So other things are 20%. These are all the commodities: cement, China clay, auto chemical manures, de-oil cake, soap, stone powder. All these things are now available. So all this, what is the floor rate, what are the permitted terminals, what lead restriction, concurrent freight concession conditions, all I have explained to you. And this is specifically for fly ash, because fly ash is now one of the major commodities which is a low rated commodities, but a lot of movement is taking place by rail. So railway has by road, railway has identified that this commodity can be also captured by rail, but we have to give a lot of concession. So 40% concession is being now offered on loading of fly ash by rail. So if you load in open flat wagons, bagged consignment rules, 40% concession. If you're loading bagged consignment in flat wagons, 40% concession. If you're loading bagged consignment in covered wagons, you're getting LR1 class concession. That is the lowest, almost a low rated class. LR1 means low rated class. We have 3 classes: LR1, LR2, and LR3. So these are all low rated class. Based on the type of commodity, charging is applicable. So these are different conditions for loading fly ash. And this is the freight forwarders scheme, which I've explained to you already. And what are the restricted commodities? Coal, coke, iron ore, pea oil, ports, container traffic, military traffic, RMC, these are all not permitted. So I told you, if individual wagons loaded with a single commodity, train load for each wagon. Individual wagons loaded 2 commodities, train load for each wagon for higher class 2 commodities. Individual loaded wagons with 2 or more than 2 commodities, composite class rate of 120. So this is a very good concession which they're going to get. Apart from this, 6% additional concession that will be given, because towards northeastern, this is again simultaneously applicable to that also. So this is about the freight incentive schemes. So again, I'll repeat, there are 3 types of freight incentive schemes. One is traditional flow empty direction. Other is loading of bagged consignment in open wagons. Another is freight forward scheme. So these 3 schemes are now available. now coming back to wagon leasing scheme. So what is wagon leasing? Leasing of wagons. Why this mean leasing of wagons? Leasing of wagons is nothing but on Indian Railways, we are finding it very difficult to supply rakes. Sometimes during peak period, what is happening is we are not able to find the rakes, even though there's huge demand, even though there's a lot of Indians are pending, we're not able to clear them because of shortage of rolling stock with the Indian Railways. So in order to prevent that, this freight, suppose we don't tap this, suppose we don't capture this freight, it all will go to road. So what was the alternative? So alternative is the railway administration thought the railway board has formulated a policy that is the customers, they can either buy their own wagons or they can get it leased from the leasing company. So what is the benefit they're going to get? They're going to get a concession of 15% in case of LWS rakes, that is called Liberalized Wagon Investment Scheme, or now we call LSFTO, Liberalized Special Freight Train Operator Scheme. So this is for this LSFTO, we are giving concession of 12% for 20 years. Suppose under this scheme, the customer buys his own wagons or he takes on lease from the wagon leasing companies. There are several wagon leasing companies on Indian Railways. So these companies are ready to give their wagons. They buy the wagons from the manufacturers and they keep themselves. And if any party, big customers are interested, they give them on lease. So on lease, so what happens is if they are purchasing, if they're operating, if they're now this LSFTO, now this LWS scheme is not there. This Liberalized Wagon Investment Scheme that is now superseded by this LSFTO. LWS rakes on South Central Railway, we had 13 rakes now are operating on South Central Railway of different types of rolling stock. And now under this LSFTO also, now customers are buying. Recently for Kalburgi Cement in South Central Railway, they have purchased this rake for BCCW for moving their bulk cement from their factory to Maharashtra area. So this is about the LSFTO. So LSFTO simply is the concession offered to the customer is 12% for 20 years. So whenever they load these rakes, they load this commodity under these rakes, a freight concession is offered to them. So once a freight concession is offered to them, 12%, that is very reasonable and very good. So they're able to move their commodity and the rakes will be within their circuits. Normally the rakes are, suppose they are pooled in Indian Railway pool, then getting a rake is very difficult. So as per the rule, so whenever this rake is marked as LSFTO, so marking is given. So this rake will not move from the circuit which has been approved by Railway Board and the Zonal Railway. So customer said, I want to move from A to B and B to C. So he will prefer the circuits, he will communicate the circuits for which operating approval will be given. So the customer can move his commodity from the originating, that is production area, to the consumption area. That is about the LSFTO. I'm going to explain to you in detail about that also. AFTO, that is Automobile Freight Train Operators. So this automobile train, that is exclusive for the automobile trains, automobile traffic. That is, we have this Maruti Suzuki traffic. Widely, they have purchased a lot of rakes to move their cars, and Mahindra also, they have purchased rakes to move their 3-wheelers, 2-wheelers, other things. So many transporters, they have purchased these rakes so that they can move this automobile traffic to this specialized rake under the scheme called AFTO, Automobile Freight Train Operator. This also for 20 years, but the concession is given as per from time to time. That will be announced by Railway Board. So as per the board's policy, then concession is offered to them. And now we have another scheme called General Purpose Wagon Scheme. Under this scheme, this LSFTO is only for special purpose wagons like BCCW. You can a BCCW wagon is a wagon in which bulk cement is loaded. You know, bulk cement is used nowadays. When we were constructing earlier, we used to get bagged cement by lorries there to unload near a house, and we used to construct the house after cutting the bags and we are putting the roof and all. Now you can feel a lot of mixies. We call mixies now. You can see on the road. They simply load this bulk cement in their mixies and they keep rotating. And by the time they come to the factory or to the house, it's completely the cement is blue. Cement is ready, and they put it in the roof, and roof is ready. So now a big it's become a big hit in the real estate business now. So instead of putting bagged cement and all, now bulk cement it's being used very widely now. So now for carrying this bulk cement, this special type of wagon that is called BCCW wagons, which has a carrying capacity of 58 tons. So it is moved by this train, by this special wagon that is called LSFTO scheme. And automobile freight, there is a flat wagons. You have seen this is the that is BCACBM wagons we call. So we can ferry cars and all in these trains. That's specially built to carry this kind of automobile traffic. So general purpose wagons are BCN boxer. They can also purchase these wagons, but the concession is only 10% for 15 years. Wagon leasing scheme, that is, this all come under wagon leasing scheme only. So apart from that, we have other schemes, that is long-term tariff contract scheme. That is called LTTC. For that, minimum a customer needs to have 1 million tons. He was supposed to have given offered traffic during the last year at least 1 million ton. Then only he is eligible for this scheme, and he'll be also, if he's retaining the traffic 5 million tons, he has to show. So now this scheme is discontinued. Now this scheme is no more in work. The railway board has discontinued this scheme. But on South Central Railway, now at present we have 6 customers which are availing this scheme. Then again, station to station rates. This is called station to station rates, and the maximum concession offered under this almost 30 to 33%. So this concession is given when the customer wants to load a specific commodity from one originating station to other destination station. That is called OD pair. So he has to give us the commitment that he is going to offer more traffic than the traffic which he has loaded earlier. So that is a criteria. So unless the customer gives more traffic than what he used to move earlier, that is incremental growth. Unless we find some incremental growth, he will not be eligible for any concession. So we have fixed a benchmark. So he has to cross the benchmark. I'm going to explain. I think I will explain to you already last time. So that is, and the customer has to cross the benchmark, and then he'll be eligible to get concession. Now this scheme is valid for 1 year, and the maximum percentage concession is 30%. Then merry-go-round scheme is there. As I told you earlier, this merry-go-round, you can, by the terminology itself, it says going round, like a garland. You might have seen giant wheels in the exhibitions or garlands you can see. So that is that this also, this track will look like this. So the customer has to construct his own track, and the wagon and the rake will be supplied to him, and a certain lump sum rate is offered to this customer, which is less than the present market rate. Since he is constructing his own track and maintaining his own track, that's the reason why he'll be offered certain lump sum rate only, which is far lesser than what is existing rate, because he has his own traffic, his own scheme. So but railways only will supply the rakes like box and viewer and whatever it is there. Suppose coal is there on South Central Railway, Singareni Collieries and National Thermal Power Plant, both are using this MGR scheme, and they're loading the coal and loading the coal from the coal company, unloading to the thermal plant. Terminal development scheme. This is now we don't have in railways, but still Southern Railway, but the still scheme is there where no terminal charges are leviable to the customer. Engine on load scheme. This is also very good scheme. Engine on load, that we call EOL, engine on load. This scheme is valid for 1 year. So under this scheme, the engine will be available on the load, on the rake itself. So the customer can load quickly within 3 hours or 5 hours, whatever the timing is given as per the OIL, and the rake is pulled out immediately and dispatched. So the rake is loaded quickly and pulled out and dispatched quickly. Otherwise, if suppose the rake is not under EOL scheme, what happens? The rake comes, the engine gets detached and goes back for the shunting and all. And whenever after completion, the engine may come or may not come. As a result, he suffered a lot of detention to his rakes or consignments. So his market was getting affected. And for railways, the turnaround increases a lot because the rake is immediately pulled out and taken to destination, again brought back. So the engine is along with the load. And no staff cost is charged to the customer. The staff cost is the siding authorities need not pay any staff cost when they opt for this engine on load scheme. Again, roll on, roll off scheme. This is also a good scheme, even though on South Central Railway we don't have, but in many railways it is available. So it is, as the terminology itself it says roll on and roll off. That means the lorry itself will come and directly onto the wagon, and the rake and the railways will carry the lorry to the destination, and the lorry will again deboard and will be carried to the plant or destination. So it is now avoiding multiple handling. The customer is also very happy because directly it is being delivered to the destination. And the rates are fixed per railway board. PFT, that is private freight terminal. So we have this goods shed that is under control of railways. Siding is controlled under the private fellow. And this PFT also, party can develop his own freight terminal, wherein a concession of 20 rupees per ton is offered to this customer. Whenever he books a rake, these terminal charges are not levied on the PFT owner. Earlier, I told you about the station to station rates. I think already I have described to you about the station to station. I told you, no, the concession will be given only on the NTKS basis, that is the benchmark. So excluded commodities are commodities which are below 100 class. Coal and coke is not permitted, iron ore is not permitted, military traffic is not permitted, fuel and RMC is not permitted. So the maximum concession given is 30%. On South Central, about 30 customers are now availing this concession. I'm going to tell you one example what we had how we had diverted certain traffic which was moving by road actually. So a lot of maize was being moved from on South Central Railway on Hyderabad division and Secunderabad division. So when this concession was offered to that, so the maize traffic came back by road. So they got concession, they got very reasonable rate, and also we have earned, railways has earned freight revenue for it. And on granite traffic, granite we try to attract them, but we have given maximum concession. But because we found that one customer is moving a lot of granite, is exporting to China from somewhere near Andhra Pradesh border, that is near Ongole, to that is called Suryareddypalam. He is sending it to Krishnapatnam port by road, the huge flat wagons. So we gave a concession. We wanted concession, but the concession of 30% was not sufficient because maximum concession is 30% only. He wanted 40%, which we could not afford. So we could not, even though we extended concession, he could not load. But many of the places where we have given concession, we are able to load. We have got revenue also. So this scheme was really helpful to many customers, and they are availing, and they are planning the logistics, and they are trying to move more traffic by rail rather than by road. So the only thing is the customer has to cross the benchmark. So we fix the benchmark like last 24 months, how much he has crossed. So that benchmark he has to exceed. So after exceeding only, he will get the concession. Hope I'm clear. So apart from this, now you can find this. One more thing is distance-based graded concession for clinker. So clinker traffic was exclusively given concession because there was this long lead traffic which was moving by road. We have interacted with the customer. The customer said, if you give us concession, long lead concession, then we're going to come back by rail. So we have fixed a benchmark. Now it was actually South Central Railway which has recommended. Based on that, Railway Board has given orders for this, and the policy has been issued. In that, clinker traffic lead more than 1,000 kilometers. That's a benchmark. So that is last year clinker traffic. Whichever clinker traffic more than 1,000 kilometers which have loaded, they should exceed this. Then only they'll get a concession of 25%. So after crossing this benchmark, they're eligible to get this 25% concession. Again, one more thing is round trip concession, round trip traffic concession. So this is round trip traffic. That's TFD. Please don't get confused with the TFD or this round trip concession. TFD is only empty flow direction, the traffic which is moved on the return direction, that is given concession, that is all these ODPs are defined. The round trip is, suppose a customer moves his consignment from a cement factory to the port after he's exporting the cement or the clinker by ship, exported to another country, and if the rake again he picks up the consignment which is available at the port, it's like coal, and gets, suppose cement factory. What does cement factory do is his finished product is cement or clinker. His raw material is either gypsum or coal mostly. That's how the cement factory they require that. So to avail this concession, what the railways have thought is they've introduced a policy called round trip traffic concession. Under this concession, suppose a cement, and I'm just telling you example, it can be anybody. Suppose a cement customer wants to load from point A to point B, again from on the same rake. Suppose he is getting back the traffic from point B to point C, then a concession is offered in the return direction. Certain number of concessions offered. So the customer earlier, even though he was loading by rail, or most of the time we found that he is loading from cement factory to the port, but he was again coming back by road, which was cheaper. So railway thought about it and gave a thought to it, and now we have decided to give concession for the return direction. And certain commodities are exempted, like iron ore, container, military traffic, RMC, automobile. These are all restricted commodities. The benchmark, there's again a benchmark is there. You should cross the average MTKMs of the previous 24 months. So what is the concession is going to get? Suppose there are different types of classifications, as you're aware, ranging from LR3 to almost 200 class, the highest class. So lowest class, 500 class. Suppose he's moving a traffic, outward traffic class of 150. 150 class is a gypsum. And return is getting coal. So gypsum class is less. But coal classification is more. The rate of transportation of coal is more. The rate of transportation of gypsum is less. So suppose he moves his rake from A to B and C to A to B and B to A. That is, he's carrying gypsum and return direction is getting coal. Then on return direction, we'll charge the rate of gypsum only, not the rate of coal. That is scenario 1. Scenario 2. Scenario 2 is, suppose outward traffic is gypsum and inward traffic is 140. 140 suppose is cement. Now 140A is cement. So carrying outward is carrying gypsum. Return traffic is 140. So the concession what is going to get is the rate between 140 and 150, the difference of rate. That will be only charged to him, not 140 class. So difference of 150 and 140 will be charged. That is scenario B. Scenario lower class outward and higher class return, then it will be charged lower class. Scenario 2 is higher class onward, lower class return, then it will be charged the difference of lower and higher. Suppose both are same, outward class and return class also both are same, then it will be charged 10% less than the class, outward class. So these are the different concessions which are offered to the traffic, which are given to the traffic which is moving by on the round trip basis. So this is given across the system. The TMS takes care of it. We only fix the benchmark and feed in the system. The system takes care of it, and the customer will get concession as soon as he passes the benchmark. So once he crosses the benchmark, then he gets concession automatically. So this is also one type of concession. So I told you about long-term tariff concession. So long-term tariff LTTC I was telling you, I just explained to you. This LTTC is nothing but the traffic which a customer, but basically first I'm going to explain to you who is the customer who's eligible. The customer, all the customers not eligible. Only those customers who give more than 1 million traffic, who have already given 1 million traffic last year, then they are eligible for this concession. And what is the benefit they're going to get? Suppose they load more than the benchmark which is fixed on them on the incremental traffic, a certain type of concession which is defined in the policy that is offered to them. And we fix that they should give the minimum guarantee fixed concession. Minimum guarantee, he has to give so much of traffic, and he has to cross the benchmark. Not only he has to cross the minimum guarantee traffic, but he also has to cross the benchmark. That is 5% on the over last year on the previous benchmark. The minimum benchmark of minimum guarantee freight revenue should be 5%. Then only he'll be eligible for this concession. So every year annually he has to at least give us 5% more than the last year. So this is a big calculation. We'll do it, but now Railway Board has discontinued this policy for the fresh customers. It is not available right now. I explained to you about this LSFT also. This is basically I told you that this customer should be at least procure one rake, minimum one rake under the scheme, and this scheme is operated on the only approved circuit. The customer cannot move his rake as he likes. Only he should take approval, prior approval, then only he can move these rakes. Under LSFTO, what is the benefit the customer is getting? He is getting a concession of 15% on the freight offered for 20 years. So 15% for 20 years concession is going to get, but he has to, but there is no maintenance charges. Maintenance charges in wagon leasing scheme, we used to charge maintenance charges of 5% of the wagon cost, underframe cost. Now it is not available. Now the railway is only maintaining, and they reduced the concession. Earlier there was 15% concession was there. Now we are giving 12% concession, and we are for 20 years. Again, the master engine on load scheme. So one more scheme is EOL scheme. I told you already, it's engine on load scheme is nothing but the engine will be available on the train only, on the load. And the what is advantage is going to get, the customer is going to get is, we are not going to charge any staff cost. We are not going to charge any staff cost. Staff cost is free for them residing. Excuse me, just a minute. Sorry for the disturbance. So this is about engine on load. Engine on load is nothing but the engine will be on the load. So you might have observed in the goods sheds or in the sidings, normally the engine comes and places the rake and goes away. And after loading is completion, the engine may come immediately or it may not come immediately. It may take some time. But under this scheme, when the customer signs an agreement with the railways, that is valid for 1 year, the engine will be available throughout the loading time, and it takes away the rake after completion of the loading time. So that is the advantage, and the rake is moved immediately. And the advantage of railways is the turnaround of the rake will improve drastically. Advantage to customer is his consignment will reach fast, and not only that, he'll not be charged the staff cost. So apart from that, engine hire charges. So if the rake is if the engine is utilized within 3 hours, suppose the EOL free time is 3 hours. If the engine is utilized for some other purpose also within the free time, then no engine hire charges are levied to the customer. If the engine is utilized beyond the free time, then engine hire charges are levied. So this is one more advantage there. AFTO scheme already I've explained to you. PFT also I've explained to you. General purpose wagon also I explained last time. So what are other concessions apart from that? Busy season surcharge was withdrawn from 1st October 2019. So this busy season surcharge was being levied all these years at the rate of 15% during the busy season. The busy season is from when? From October to June. That is 9 months. So that is busy for the railways. Even though we used to very difficulty to get the rakes, so we used to levy a surcharge called busy season surcharge whenever a customer loads his consignment during this 9 months period. So railway thought it is not correct. So now temporarily, busy season surcharge has been withdrawn from 1st October 2019 onwards. We are not levying. This is a very welcome welcome policy, which was gleefully accepted by all the customers. They're very happy because 15% is no more being leveled. So all the customers welcome this change. And earlier, coal, iron ore, and finished steel, they were never giving any concession. You might have seen my previous slides that coal, iron ore were all exempted from any of the concession. Now this long lead, suppose this coal, iron ore is loaded in the long lead, 15% to 20% concession is being offered to this traffic also. So please note this. Coal, iron ore, and finished steel are now eligible to get concession if they load for more than 1,000 kilometers. Suppose coal and coke, if they load for more than 1,400 kilometers, you will get a concession of 20%. Iron and steel, if it is loading for more than 1,600 kilometers, 20% concession is given. Iron ore, if they load for 701 to 15 kilometers, 15%, and greater than 1,500 kilometers, 20% concession is offered. So this is a very good scheme for this coal, iron ore, and finished steel if they're moving by long lead. And apart from this, this concession, what other concession? So long lead concession I've discussed. Now short lead also. So Railway Board has given concession for short lead traffic also. This concession is varying from 10% to 50%. So if you load from, the customer loads from 0 to 50 kilometers, he is getting 50% concession. If he's loading from 51 to 75 kilometers, he is getting a 25% concession. If he's loading loading between 76 to 100 kilometers, he is getting 10% concession. So this is the various concession which was offered by Railway Board now. And apart from this, now terminal to encourage the container traffic also, this terminal access charges, which was being levied for the container traffic whenever they load from the goods sheds, that is Group 3 goods sheds, we used to levy 1,60,000 to as the terminal access charges. Now that has been cut from 50%, that is 80,000 only the terminal operators need to pay. So this has encouraged the container traffic to move from the goods sheds. So from the goods sheds also, container traffic is moving from goods sheds also because of the concession now offered. Apart from this, Railways has taken various other measures also to ease the doing of business. So this terminology of ease of doing business now is a buzzword in the industry now. So major industrial companies are trying to be more transparent, more user friendly, so that the customer can take advantage and can do his business very easily and quickly with the transporter. So in line with that, Railways also has introduced a lot of policies, a lot of circulars have been issued to ease of doing business with the customer. What is that? Now we can find that online payment system. You might have noticed that earlier the customer only used to come to railway station, so stand in the queue in the bank, take DDs and all the way come to the CGSR, wait with him, submit his DD and take the RR and go. So that was a lot of time consuming process was there. He was finding it difficult to do business. So in order to streamline that, what Railway Board has introduced now, the customer need not come to the railway station now. The customer can book his consignment online. He can place his indent, that is called ETRD. He can place his demand online. He can get his RR also, that we call it ETR online, and he can do transaction through. He can do his transaction online through the freight portal. He can pay through the RTGS. He can pay through SBI payment gateway, and he can pay through ATMs, credit card also. So this all a good feature has been now, that is a portal has been developed, which is called the Freight Business Portal Development, Freight Business Development Portal. So this is the FBD we call, in that is found, you can find in the Indian Railways in www.indianrailway.gov.in. So you can find this portal, Freight Business Development Portal. So in that, a lot of development has taken place. What are the facilities given by railways, and what are the how a customer come, what are the concessions available, that is also there in the portal, and what are the different types of rakes which are available, and what are the aggregated transport is available, what are the goods sheds and warehouses which are available. He can take them all. So that is all available and displayed on the portal. So this online payment is available round the clock, 24/7. As I told you, not only the freight, the customer now can pay WDRF, demurrage, wharfage, siding charges, shunting charges, rebook, everything through online only. And the customer need not go to get his RR. Now RR also is online. He can also authorize the consignee to get his online through SMS or through mail. As I told you, this is the Freight Business Portal.pptx that you can find it. And in that portal also, the customer now, he can make application for waiver of demurrage, wharfage, stacking permission, procurement of rakes, LWS rakes, whatever. He can put this application on this portal. He can apply this portal. He did not come to the office of senior DCM or the chief commercial manager or any office of the commercial department or the operating department. He can lodge his application online through his portal for application of waiver of demurrage, wharfage, stacking permission. If you want to procure rakes under LWS scheme, LSFT scheme also, you can apply it online. I told you the registration or demand of wagons electronically also is done now online only. ETRR is also issued online. It's called ETRR, online electronic transmission of railway receipt. Online interference to freight customers to provide requested information. So this kind of portal is really helpful to the customers, and they're able to track their consumption. Now they can track the rake also. Where is the rake? And what are the other things which have been introduced now? Mini rakes. Now earlier there was a restriction of 500, I think 200 to 400 kilometers only. Mini rakes, if you want to load, there was a restriction. Now that restriction has been removed. Now the customer who want to load beyond 2000 kilometers also, he can load, but he has to pay a small surcharge. I will show you that 5% surcharge for 501 to 1000 kilometers, 5% surcharge. For 1001 to 2000 kilometers, 7.5% surcharge. For beyond 2000 kilometers, 10% surcharge. So this surcharge is leviable, but he can load this mini rake beyond 2000 kilometers also. So this mini rake concept has really helped the railways. Now there's on South Central especially, I don't know about other railways, but on South Central Railway, we found that the customers are using this scheme widely, and a lot of mini rakes are being loaded because they're able to take. Some customers are having less quantity to load. They used to go by road earlier because of the mini rake, and distance restriction has been removed. And now we are finding that a lot of mini rakes are being loaded on in our South Central Railway. As a result, our traffic volume has increased drastically compared to the last year. Apart from that, mini rake is what? Mini rake is nothing but, now suppose covered wagons, the minimum quantity that a customer has load is 42 BCM. In case of mini rake, if he loads more than 20 wagons, that is enough. He will get the train load benefit. Two-point combination. So earlier 2-point combination, there was some restriction was there. Only the 2 points should be lie within 200 kilometers. Now that 2 points, the distance between the 2 points has been enhanced to 500 kilometers. And then now that circle is valid of 36. So if the customer is not having sufficient quantity from point A, he can pick up the remaining wagons to point B. So the minimum is 10 wagons from each point. Other measure is for BC and HL wagons. So BC and HL wagons, earlier the minimum number of wagons to load was 57. So most of the customers said, because BC and HL carrying capacity is more, almost 70 tons is the BC and HL capacity. So they earlier sometimes they didn't find so much of quantity with them, so they used to go by road. And in order to get the train load benefit, they have to load all the complete 57 wagons. So Railway Board found out this, and they said, okay, till 42 wagons if you load, that's enough. We are going to give you train load benefit. So even though rake is 57, the benefit of train load is given if the customer loads 42 wagons itself. That is sufficient. So this is one more good measure has been taken to board. So reducing the rake size from 57 to 42 for only BC and HL. So petcoke also, earlier petcoke for minimum carrying capacity for petcoke was 68 tons, because petcoke, as you're all aware, is a light commodity. So the customers have repented. So we are not getting the, now we are paying for the dead load, dead freight also we are paying, even though we are not loading so much. It's not possible because petcoke is something in powder type, the powdered coal it is there. So they cannot load this much of quantity in that 68 tonner wagon. So even though we are loading less, the railway is charging 68 tons, charging for 68 tons. So we have done some time and motion studies, and we found that really they are not able to load that much of quantity. So 5 tons have been reduced. Now we are charging 63 tons only. So the carrying capacity now for petcoke is only 63 tons. So this is one more item. So this is goods sheds. Now goods sheds normally, as you're all aware that if you load from goods sheds, we levy a terminal charge called 20%, 20 rupees per ton. So 20 rupees per ton, we levy additional charges called terminal charges. If a customer loads from a goods shed to one goods shed to other goods shed, or one goods shed to a siding, he has to pay suppose he loads from one goods shed to another goods shed, he has to pay 40 rupees per ton. Suppose 20 rupees per ton, say 2,000 tons per rake. So say 4,000 tons per rake, that is a box and a BACN. So it's almost coming to 80,000 rupees per rake, he has to pay additional charges. Suppose he is loading from a goods shed to goods shed, he has to pay double, 1.6 lakhs additional. It is called terminal charges. Because railway is handling at the terminal, so we levy a charge called terminal charge. So what is happening is, as a result, what is happening? Some of the goods sheds have become very busy goods sheds. Most of the goods sheds have become very busy now. Rakes are getting detained. So how to decongest these goods sheds? So board has thought about a policy called the alternate. In order to congest the busy season goods shed, board has defined some goods sheds which are called alternate goods sheds, in which in the alternate goods sheds, we are not going to levy any terminal charges. So the customer loads his consignment to this alternative goods sheds, 20 rupees per ton will not be levied to this customer. So suppose we have a goods shed called A, and just beside A, say about 50 kilometers or 40 kilometers range, we have one more goods shed that is not busy, and we have defined that as B, as alternate goods shed. So in order to decongest, all the rakes used to come and get stuck up in this goods shed. We have a Sanathan goods shed in Secunderabad. So in order to decongest, we have identified Maulali and 3 other stations for this, Nizamabad. So we have 3-4 locations we have identified as alternate goods sheds. So in order to decongest these busy goods sheds, Railway Board has notified some goods sheds, that is alternate goods sheds, wherein the terminal charges are not levied and the traffic gets decongested in the goods shed. They are diverted to this alternate goods shed. So this is also a good policy which is now decongesting the goods shed. On SCR, we have this Karimnagar. Karimnagar goods shed, I told you, Karimnagar, we have this alternate goods shed, Sultanabad, Lingampet, Jagatyal and Gangadhara. Karimnagar is a busy goods shed, and we have identified alternate goods shed, Sultanabad, Lingampet, Jagatyal, Gangadhara. These 3 goods sheds are alternate goods shed. Nizamabad, the alternate goods shed, Kamareddy, Bodhan and Dichpalli. So in the alternate goods shed, we are not going to levy any terminal charges. Apart from this, I told you this again, incentive was given to this loaded bag consignment loaded in open bag and 20%, and purity charges. Now the bone of contention for many of the customers is levy of purity charges. This because we have been receiving several complaints that railway is charging heavily if we exceed the permissible carrying capacity, overloading. So one measure which was introduced recently in 2020 was the purity charges for overloading at other than the originating station will be levied from the originating station to the load adjustment point only. So earlier what happened used to be, suppose a consignment is loaded from A station, but the weighbridge was not available. It was taken to the load adjustment point at B, and it was found that overloading was there. And we used to charge purity charges right from the A to the destination. Suppose the destination is C. A is the originating station, B is where load adjustment has taken place, that removing the excess load, and C is the destination. So we used to charge from the load adjustment from the origin station to the destination, purity charges is levy. Now that has been removed, that is not found because we are already doing load adjustment. We found overloading, we have found that in the weighbridge, and we have taken it out and we have done load adjustment. And the purity charges is levied from the originating to the load adjustment point only. So this was a very welcome step measure introduced by board, and customers are happy. Now they are being charged less. And one more thing is co-users. Co-users are all aware now that co-user means suppose anybody he wants to use other siding for loading or unloading a consignment. Suppose the siding authorities are willing to accept him, permit him to load from their siding, they are called co-users. Earlier there was a restriction for this co-user. There only 3 were permitted to use the siding. Now the restriction of 3 was removed now, and any number of co-users can load from the siding. So one more thing is the track maintenance charges. This is also a very good measure. So earlier within the railway bound, a siding is there. Earlier within the railway boundary, we used to levy track maintenance charges by the customer. Even though sometimes the customer himself used to maintain the track, there's a railway portion, we used to levy the, normally customers themselves maintain these tracks, but the railway used to collect the track maintenance charges. Now that has been removed. Now within the railway boundary, the customer did not pay the track user charges. He can only pay the inspection charges, and he can maintain. One more thing is demurrage and wharfage. We call debit credit system. In goods shed, especially in goods sheds on Southern Railway, in any railways, goods shed, what happens after the expiry of the free time, then whatever the excess time he has taken, suppose 9 hours is the free time, he has completed loading after say 12, he has taken 12 hours to load. For these 3 hours, he was supposed to pay this demurrage charges immediately. On South Central, we used to collect immediately. Later on, he can appeal for waiver or whatever is there. Now, board has introduced a scheme called debit credit system. That means whatever the debits, suppose he has loaded excess within a month. A month is taken as a criteria. Within a month, a customer loads. It takes more number of hours to load, and some days it takes less hours. That means credit. So whatever the debit, whatever the excess hours he has accrued, and whatever time he has taken in the month, that will be credit hours. So then this debit credit hours will be adjusted. Ultimately, the net credit hours used to be charged to the customer. Hope you understood it. Suppose a rake on say today is 20, today is say 7th. On 7th October, he had loaded 3 hours extra. He has taken 3 hours extra time. That means demurrage of 3 hours additional was levied to him. Again on 9th, instead of the free time is 9 hours, instead of that he has completed loading in 6 hours only. That means there he got credit, he got debit here. So there's 3 hours of debit on Thursday, 7th of October. That has been adjusted against 3 hours of credit on 9th October. So for the whole month, they will calculate that. So debit versus credit, they can adjust it. In the end of the month, they will see how much debit hours is there, how much credit hours is there. They're going to adjust it. But suppose he gets more credit hours, that no refund will be given to the customer. Now the debit credit hours is given to all the customers. This 1 million now it's reward now. Any customer now is eligible to get this, avail this debit card credit system. Hope I'm clear, able to understand. I'm trying to be as simple as possible, and so that everybody can understand this simple language. One more scheme that is called premium indent. That is a customer is required to pay 15% more than normal rate, then his indents will take priority. That is called premium indent. So what are the other steps? What railway has taken is speed of freight trains is almost double compared to last year. extending concessions and discount, decongesting terminals, increase of doing business with railways to attract smaller than train loads. So all these steps which I explained to you, the freight incentive schemes, the concession discounts, the decongestion of terminals like your alternative goods sheds, and ease of doing business like online payment of freight, online payment of demurrage, online payment ETRR, ETRD. So all these schemes now it has helped for us to attract little more traffic than last year. So even the less than train load traffic also we are able to attract now because of the less in number of wagons to be loaded. So all these schemes which are available now, this has really helped. These schemes are introduced recently only, say in last 2-3 years. Otherwise, we are going to lose the traffic. One more thing is development of goods sheds. Now, if you go, other day I've gone to Amazon, I have seen Flipkart, their goods shed, their warehouse are wonderful. So if you want, if somebody can go and visit Amazon and Flipkart warehouses, they are so beautifully built, so well organized. Their approach roads, their warehouses, the way of stacking, the way of unloading, loading, all mechanized. They're so well organized and well maintained goods sheds. The customer will definitely feel that his consignment is safe, and traffic is definitely more on by this e-commerce industry. So in order to compete this, we need to have a good sheds also. So it's very important that we develop our good sheds to show that we at warehouses we handle bulk commodities. We handle cement, bag commodities, cement, food grains, other commodities also. So it is our bounden duty that we need to keep the consignment safe and proper also. So now you can find either good sheds are leaking, approach is not available, platform is not good. So there is the customer, what happens is directly loading from the rake to the lorry and is taking away. He is really incurring a lot of expenditure. Normally, cement companies, what they take, they load from the rake, and they directly load to the lorry, and they take to the they take some on rent, some warehouse, and they dump it. From there, they distribute. So they're incurring additional expenditure. Suppose we give them good warehouse in the goods shed in railway premise itself, the customers will definitely come to railways. So the railway administration, the railway board has identified this very important aspect. Now a lot of importance is being given by Indian Railways to develop goods sheds. So one policy has been introduced recently that is called PPP, Public-Private Participation Policy, in which the any customer can build the railway goods sheds at his own cost. But what is the benefit is going to give? We're not going to collect any terminal charges from him. So 20 rupees, what are the terminal charges? 20 rupees per ton. So whatever, how many rakes is loaded, so whatever the revenue we get from the terminal charges, that will be given to the customer. So 80,000 approximately, if you load say bag consignment, 80,000 rupees per rake is going to get that way. So this is what we call development of freight terminals through private participation. Development of goods sheds, that's what I was trying to say. So this is a very good scheme because we need to increase the volumes. These volumes are coming down. We need to augment the terminal capacity. So not only if there are improper goods sheds, our rakes are getting detained because the lorries come slow and they're not able to unload quickly. Neither during rains, the rakes are detained because of the wet. The customer will hesitate to unload there because of the rains. Suppose we have a good shed, they can unload it in the good shed, the warehouse, and later on they can take it. Or if 2-3 rakes come simultaneously to single good sheds, we are not able to clear these rakes. As a result, the turnaround is increasing tremendously. So the board has identified all these problems and they found that we need to develop these good sheds. So development of good shed through private participation, through private investment has been launched recently. Now we are finding that in many railways, the private customers are coming forward to develop these goods sheds on their own cost, and railway is paying them handsomely through terminal charges. It's a new concept. So they can develop a new goods shed, or they can develop the existing goods shed also. So what is this thing? What are the main criteria? The private parties are permitted to develop goods shed, loading, unloading facility for rakes. They have to develop approach roads. They have to develop drainage. They have to develop general lighting. They can develop covered shed and facilities for labor, like drinking water, bathing facility, shade, everything they have to give. This is what the greenfield goods shed. Greenfield goods shed means a new goods shed. So other additional infrastructures, laying up additional line for handling traffic, creating facility for handling container traffic. All facilities shall be developed with common facility, should not in any way hamper to obstruct the existing rail users. Construction shall be as per the guidelines issued by Railway Board. So these all the facilities the customer is supposed to develop. So brownfield is already the existing goods sheds which are not having proper facilities. The private parties are permitted to repair, to develop and maintain the existing facilities, and also set up additional facilities. What is to do? Approach roads he has to develop, drainage facilities now he can develop, general lighting, covered shed, facilities for labor like resting place, water, shade, etc. So all these things are now we are lacking it. So now the private party is permitted to develop a greenfield goods shed or a brownfield goods shed. The 10 years is ranging from 5 years to 10 years now. And incentive is, I told you, there will be share in the terminal charges and terminal access charges. Terminal access charges is what? Terminal access charges is nothing but charges levied for accessing the goods shed. For the containers, I told you, 1,60,000 is being levied. That also will be shared. And terminal charges, what we are levying is 20 rupees per ton that we give to the party. He can also set up canteen, T-shape, advertisement, etc. So this is not this much detail is not required for you for examination. Only thing is you should understand that development of goods sheds through private participation is a new policy which was announced by board, wherein private parties can participate and can develop the goods shed and can get share in the revenue from the terminal charges. So one more thing we introduce round the clock working. So the one more step towards easing business is round the clock. So introduction of round the clock, earlier we used to have the general manager was supposed to approve this introduction of round the clock working in goods shed. Now it has been delegated to DRMs. As a result, now any DRM, any division can introduce round the clock working in a goods shed. So what is the idea behind this? That will help you improve the wagon turnover. Suppose the round the clock working is into the goods shed, you can do the loading, unloading in the night time also. So based on the facility development at the goods shed, DRM is now empowered to notify a goods shed for round the clock working. So thank you. This is what I wanted to share. Now hope you have understood. So I have covered most of the incentive schemes. I have covered a lot of development scheme, the slew of measures what have been introduced by Railway Board recently, and what is development of goods shed, and what is decongestion of goods shed, and what is the LTT scheme, STS scheme, and AFTO scheme, wagon leasing scheme, and freight forward scheme, station to station rates. So loading of back commercial open wagons. So a lot of incentive schemes I have covered. Hope this is useful to you. And the PowerPoint presentation I have shared with Sitara, and you can also have this. And I only wish you all the best, and hope you write the examinations well. Thank you. And if anybody has doubts, please let me know.
I've unmuted everybody. If anybody has doubts, please raise your hand. If anybody has any doubts, please raise your hand and unmute yourself. Otherwise, yes, please. Any questions, please speak. Anyone has any doubt, please raise your hand and then unmute yourself. No doubts? Shall we end the session, please? I think, sir, there are no doubts. So shall we end the session, sir?
Yeah. Anybody can have doubts, you can please clarify, because
Yes.
this is flight incentive schemes are very important. People should understand that.
Yes, Galaxy M11, please, if you have any doubt, please speak. Sir, I think there are no doubts, sir. We'll end the class.
Yeah, fine.
On behalf of the Academy, I thank Sri B.D. Christopher, sir, Deputy CM, Fleet and Service Office, Southern Railway. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the session today. Thank you all the participants. Tomorrow we have a session at 2:45. The login time is 2:45 and class starts at 3 p.m. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sitara. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.